across the aisle segment tonight. Planned Parenthood has some ideas for the next summer blockbuster. The abortion giant tweeted earlier this week, "We need a Disney princess who's had an abortion. We need a Disney princess who's pro-choice. We need a Disney princess who's an undocumented immigrant. We need a Disney princess who's actually a union worker. We need a Disney princess who's trans." What kind of message does Planned Parenthood want to send to little girls here? That if you want to be a princess, you need to have an abortion? With me now, women's rights activist Bren Herrera. Bren, good to see you.
Hey, Liz, thanks for having me back.
Of course, it's good to see you. All right, Bren, tell me what you think of this. I know politically we're on different sides of this issue, but I think personally our views on life and abortion align here. What do you make of this? I mean, what kind of message does this send to little girls that to find your Prince Charming, you have to be willing to kill the unborn baby of any of the one-night stands who might have knocked you up?
Well, I'm glad that you prefaced it with the fact that you and I are generally coming from two different sides of the aisle, but on this issue here, I think that Planned Parenthood completely dropped the ball. There's honestly no excuse for it. They obviously deleted the tweet immediately, seeing that it was a horrible PR move on their part. Disney princesses are for our little girls. They're for my nieces who just turned 15 a week ago. They're for the little girls running around in the neighborhood, the school children. These are adult issues that we're talking about, the transgender issues, the abortion issues, the diversity issues, all of those things that are inclusionary and at the table right now. I don't think that these are things that little girls, princesses if you will, running around in tutus and tiaras, need to be concerning themselves. So while I get, respect, and understand the larger point that they were trying to make, one of inclusion, et cetera, I think that this was not the proper form or medium or even, I mean, it was
I mean, to be frank, it's disgusting.
Unmerited.
Right, it is. It's disgusting.
Well, yeah,
it's gross
it is.
to
Honestly,
think,
yeah.
It's gross to think that we would celebrate that. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in our country, especially pro-lifers, who want to shame women who have abortions, who want to ostracize them. In fact, I think pro-lifers make an incredible effort to reach out to those women because we know the repercussions of abortion. You know, we want to be there for those women. They're in a vulnerable situation. We want to give them what they need to be able to succeed here. But I would have to ask you, since you are politically in support of legal abortion, does this make you feel more skeptical of Planned Parenthood's motives when they say that they're for women's health, for comprehensive health services, when it really, a tweet like this kind of makes it seem like they're abortion first?
Well, let's be clear. I never said last time that you and I debated this, I never said that I was for legal abortion. I am for women's rights. I don't know what anyone's particular circumstances are and what would merit and cause them to want and need an abortion. And that's between them, their God, their spouse, whatever their situation is. So I'm not going to get into that particular politic. I do think, however, that sending a message where you're bringing the attention to the little girls, or you're bringing the issue to the little girls is unnecessary, and it kind of takes away from the other conversations that we need to be having, like safe sex, abstaining from premarital sex. Why aren't we having those conversations instead of, again, bringing to the fore the fact that there are women who do come to these decisions and make them for themselves when they come to that place? But I don't think that little girls are necessarily having these conversations amongst their peers and their parents. I think that they dropped the ball. They're doing a major disservice, not to just the little girls that are watching, but also to the patients, customers, et cetera, that visit Planned Parenthood.
Right. I mean, I can't really think of another word to describe it. When I read this, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And you know my views on Planned Parenthood. You know my views on abortion. It doesn't surprise me. But it is shocking always to read this. I mean, it's gross to insinuate that a little girl, in order to be a princess, would need to have an abortion to find her Prince Charming. I mean, this is supposed to be a fairy tale.
This
is supposed to be a fairy tale. It's supposed to be about strong women. Go ahead.
This is where you and I are going to disagree. I think that because they are here, Disney is here to usher the idea of what a princess looks like. By and large, princesses coming out of Disney have been white girls that don't look like me with big, fabulous, curly hair. So I think that what they're trying to do, which was in response to a meme that went out last year, is to be one of inclusion. So that little princesses who don't look like the princesses that normally are portrayed by Disney are able to see that, yes, there are Latina princesses, there are black princesses, there are princesses with hijab, there are princesses that have a variety of different backgrounds and stories to tell. The narrative is not just unilateral, and it's all not in a vacuum, which again, historically,
and listen, if that's what they had tweeted, I agree with you. If that's what they had tweeted, 100% on board with that. It's nice for little girls to be able to look at princesses that look like them and aspire to be like that, and also look at princesses who don't look like them and realize that it's not about what you look like, it's about what's inside, it's about what you do, it's about the actions that you make, and it's about who you are. I agree with that 100%.
Well, that's not what Planned Parenthood tweeted, though. Yeah. I'm not going to come here and ever debate, or excuse me, ever justify and support what Planned Parenthood said in that tweet. I think that it was, again, that's been established by both sides that it was nefarious, it was completely irresponsible and unnecessary. However, I don't know that these children are also on Twitter. I don't know that little princesses are necessarily going down the Twitter feed, watching who's saying what. I think that this was a message where parents are paying attention, mothers are paying attention, teachers, et cetera, leaders are paying attention, where we can usher these conversations, again, of inclusion. Again, let's make that very clear that I'm not for what Planned Parenthood said, and I think that it was a really poor decision on their part. I think it was a bad public relations move, obviously.
Well, even they thought
but I think that they do have a responsibility. I do think that they do have a responsibility and a role, because of who they are, to have these conversations where young women, not little girls, not little princesses, but young women are in a safe place to have conversations that aren't necessarily.
Listen, there are a lot of really young teenagers. I mean, the tykes in our day and age. I mean, they have phones in their hands from the time that they're 2 or 3 years old. There are 12 and 13-year-olds that are on Instagram, that are on Twitter. I mean, this stuff gets around. You see this. If I were a liberal, I'd be extremely incensed over a tweet like that. And as someone who is pro-life, like I said, not surprised, always shocking that they would propagate this message, but it does expose that they are.
I'm not going to. It
does expose that their
one,
agenda is abortion first and foremost, and they don't just want it to be safe, legal, and rare anymore. They want it celebrated, and they want it prevalent.
I'm not going to go that far, Liz. I mean, I'm not going to go that far. They do offer other health services to young women out in the community. They're not just about propaganda for abortions. They have a slew of other services that they offer women.
It's the biggest part of their business, and they themselves, if you look at their annual report, it's right there in the report. Bren, we're out of time. Thanks so much for being here. It was great to talk to you.